Hello. Hi.
The idea of writing about abuse, but from different perspectives, came to me. And what I wanted to do was explore it from the point of view of somebody who enables the crimes, somebody who is complicit in it, somebody who is the perpetrator, and someone who is the victim stroke survivor of it. So that's why the elements is split into 4: water, earth, fire, air, covering each of those bases. The narrator moves away from Dublin to a small island off the west coast of Ireland, and water was this running theme through it. She's surrounded by water. Her husband was a swimming coach and he's been convicted, and it just keeps reappearing. So I had decided I was going to call it Water, and that's when I thought, well, I'm writing four sections. So the 4 building blocks of the universe traditionally have been water, earth, fire and air. So it sort of came together organically in that way, and then I put them all together as the elements. Well, the entire novel is spread over several decades, and for sure, and the idea is that a minor character from each becomes the narrator of the next one, which means that I had to move it forward at times, so that, you know, we might see a person when they were quite young and then see them again when they're older, and different characters reappear at different points in each of the characters' lives. So the experience of reading all 4 together, in some ways they could be read in any order, but I've put them together in this order. It would be a different reading experience, but they could be. But I needed that time jump just to see the effect, I suppose, that abuse can have on a boy or a girl, and how it can damage their lives. Most of the novels I've written for adult readers are first person, whereas most of the novels I've written for young readers are third person. And that's not so much by design as I always feel with the adult books, I want to get as close into the psychology of a character as I possibly can and stick with their voice. Whereas in the young people's books, because I use a third person, it's more of a storyteller type thing. But with these 4 characters and with what they've been through or what they are doing, I really just needed to be inside their heads, which wasn't always an easy place to be, particularly with the third part, Fire, which is the perpetrator. But I definitely needed to just be as psychologically involved in them as I could be. Well, in the first part, Water, I needed to move the character away from the city. You know, she's been part of a big national scandal. She's been a public figure, in a sense, and to live on an island for a year with only a couple hundred people there, in a very quiet environment, gives her time to think. And in the final part, where it's a father and son on a plane traveling from Sydney across the world, you know, you put 2 characters in a small enclosed environment like that for 24 hours, they're going to end up having to speak to each other and you know, unload themselves, their emotions. It's interesting, I think, to just put people in those isolated settings and see what happens to them. I wanted the last part of the book to be the most positive part, in a way, that every moment of your life that you allow yourself to feel any sort of sense of shame or guilt because of what somebody else did is a moment wasted, and it's a moment still giving power to the person who committed those acts. And it's pointless to do that, absolutely pointless. So it was cathartic for me, but I hope that people reading the book will find that catharsis maybe for themselves if they were unfortunate enough to go through such an experience. I think it's important to have an authentic ending. Some novels need to have a happy ending, some novels need to have a sad ending, but as long as it feels like it's the right ending, that's what matters. And I have a sense that with this book, because I finish on Aaron's story, I finish on the survivor, and it does end on a more positive note than the rest of the book. He's actually the character who feels best about himself ultimately, from despite what he's gone through. That felt like the right way for a story like this to end. Otherwise it would be, I don't know, it would just feel like I've got no hope for humanity at all, you know, and I didn't want it to be like that. I felt I needed to go out in a positive note. Be prepared for an unusual structure in the book, but that even though it is dark, there are moments of humour. I actually find that the darker a book, if you can throw in jokes and lightness at times, it relieves the tension a little bit, and it's very important in the structure of a book and the themes to do that every so often. So it's not as unhappy as it sounds. There's actually quite a lot of lightness in it as well.